I will start with an Adam Wilber cheesy grin. We're not going to cut or edit this, so no swearing from this point, no crude or vulgar jokes from this point.
Fine.
Gonna have to pretend to actually like each other from this moment on as well.
Okay, now you're crossing lines here. I'm not. No.
So yeah, for
Not gonna
everyone
do that.
watching, this is the Penn and Teller / clone Adam Wilber AMA. You send in your questions on his social media, on our social media as well. So we're going to go through those and answer those questions. The most fitting question, and you can be honest about this because this goes out after we record it, comes from ETHNJCB. I think that's Ethan JCB. He says, did you fool them? Like, did you fool Penn and Teller?
I did fool Penn and Teller. Yes, and here's the proof. Ta-da!
That's crazy.
There it is.
So
It seems like forever ago at this point, but yes, I did.
I know, it's such a weird process filming for TV. Do you want to like give everyone like a little bit of a behind the scenes in terms of what was required to like, first off, just to get even considered for the show? What was that process like?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. There's an email that you can send. Anyone can send an email to the email at whatever season it is. They'll have an email for casting. They will then, you basically pitch it. This is my idea. This is what I can do. And then they'll want to see a live performance of it. So, you doing it in front of the camera to camera, they don't really like. So I had to go to the magic shop and perform it live. This is aired already, so I can say what you see is the routine wasn't what I submitted. I submitted a build to Lemon using the same utility, and it's a killer build to Lemon. It's what I do in my real shows using Clone, but they were like, we've already had a build to Lemon. So regardless that this is so much more fooling and so much more impossible, method-wise, the effect has been done. So I had to restructure and come up with what you saw in Fool Us. So basically I went to the magic shop and showed them a build to Lemon, but then when I came home, I edited a video saying, but here's the technology behind what's working. Look, anyone with half a brain can realize there's a million different things you can do with this. Mm-hmm. And that's when they had said, yeah, we love it. It's a very good chance this will fool them. It's so innovative and new. We just need a new routine. So anybody can go through the process. What they're going to want is a video of you performing it, and they care more about good magic than being fooled. So if you're thinking about going on there for whatever reason, just make sure you've got entertaining magic, something that's going to be good for people on TV to see, fool them or not.
I think
then the rest.
That is what most magicians don't concentrate on. Because they're a magician, they see everything as a magician. And I think that's quite an important point, that it's the most entertaining magic for a real non-magician audience, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the producers all stress over and over, it doesn't matter if you fool them or not. Go out and have a good time. And they say the point of the show, the entire reason they started this show and the reason they believe it's successful is because their first priority was good magic. They want entertaining good magic. And I think they've accomplished that. I think most of the acts that they get on there are fun to watch for laymen. The shows gets great ratings because people like good magic. And I think they do put a lot of good magic out. So, if you want to be on the show, get a good routine that's yours and put it up there, or something that's really, really fooling. But even still, I think if it's very fooling but not entertaining, they're not going to have you on the show because their priority is that good magic first.
So a great one from Montreal Magic, rep in Canada. Now that Fool Us is done, knowing what you know now, would you change anything about your performance?
That's a funny question because I haven't seen it yet. We're filming this just before it airs. It airs today in a few hours. So I can't answer that. I don't know. I mean, would I change the experience as a whole? No, not in a million years. I mean, it was fun. It was a good time. It was stressful and a lot of travel and losing gigs and stuff, but I wouldn't change it. After watching the performance, I'm positive there's going to be many things that I would change. I'm probably going to be cringing at seeing it, but Until I see it, I don't know for sure. I think it went pretty well, but I think I in hindsight, could have started the effect off a little faster and scripted it to be more entertaining and all that. But at this point, I don't know until I see it.
Yeah, no, no one really likes watching themselves or hearing themselves on TV or video. Like, I've got to check that this recording works after this AMA, and as soon as I press play, we're like, I sound awful.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
just said about stressful, which kind of cuts into Crennan-Blark's question, which is, what's the most nerve-wracking part of the show? Was it before you go on? Was it during the performance? Or was it waiting for them to speak after you performed?
Great question. And waiting to go on by far. Once you're on, you go into autopilot. If you've practiced your script, you know it, and you get the first line out and the rest just takes over. So that was just autopilot. That was pretty simple. But and then the waiting for them to speak, that's pretty easy because you've already done your routine. And I genuinely didn't care if it fooled them or not. The point of doing this routine on the show was that it was a project that somebody brought to us at Illusionist that as soon as I saw it, I went, this is unbelievable. This has so much potential. I mean, this is an actual utility. Like, people say it all the time in our industry. This is all of those buzzwords that everyone says, but truthfully. Innovative, never before seen, a utility device, like all of it. So the intention fully was just get this known to the magic world. And hey, if it fools them, icing on the cake. But you and I had a discussion. Even if it doesn't fool them, they're going to appreciate what this is allowing you to do. Think of Bill to Lemon, the classic, the one that everyone does for a reason, because it's, in the United States at least, almost a solid 75% of the people, if they come up to you, I saw a magician, and I ask them, what trick what do you remember that they did? I always ask that because people will always say, oh, so-and-so is a magician, or I saw so-and-so. Ask them, what trick do you remember? Don't say, what was your favorite? Just say, what trick do you remember? And in my research, 75% of the answers are Bill to Lemon.
Yeah.
And I know some of the magicians. I know that that's not their closing effect. I know that their closing effect is a Lysander floating table or a super strong book test. That stuff is, as magicians, what we go, this is my reputation maker. But for some reason, Bill to Lemon is the thing people talk about. So I knew going in, this was the goal. Get Clone out there, let it be done. And I didn't care if I fooled them. So listening, waiting for them, I wasn't like, but when the first question they asked was off about the case and the bluffing and whatnot, then I started getting some butterflies. And as soon as they talked about the box and the window and stuff, that's when I was like, and then I actually started getting nervous because I think in my head, I didn't even consider the fact that it could fool them. It was just sort of like, let's go do this thing. Let's go, get some great footage for me on my personal site, but also let the community see how ridiculously amazing Clone is. And then I started sort of going, oh my God, wait a minute. I think I fooled them. Yeah. And that's when it was just like overwhelmed with a rush of emotion. But the most nerve-wracking part was really the first day that I accepted to go on, and then that sort of 3 or 4 days there building up to it. Because there's a lot of dead time. There's a lot of you sitting there rehearsing or practicing or wondering, and that was the most nerve-wracking part.
You have to show your wife the trick for the 18th time, and she's like, oh, God, Adam, Jesus,
exactly.
Do something else.
I mean, really, it's more of this, like going over every line of the script in your head and well, what if the spectator is no good? And then, okay, well, what if this happens and he moves to the other, and just overthinking everything, as opposed to just going, I know my script. I know the method is foolproof. I'm going to go have fun.
I know.
Right? If that was the mentality, then it would have been a cakewalk, but it wasn't.
That kind of answers Dylan's question, which was, did you really go there to fool them, or was it just a performance thing? But I know that me and you spoke before you went on. We were talking about ways to reveal, how to increase the routine. You had that creative jam session, I'm sure, with everyone on staff, with Madison, with Lloyd, with everyone. Like, what was kind of the turning point for the routine? Because I know, obviously, it was Bill to Lemon, and it was this. Like, you had a great idea with keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Do you want to just talk to everyone about how that came
Yeah.
about?
So originally, I saw the effect that Juan created, clone, and lost my mind Magic Live 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And said, look, I promise you this done right is going to be epic. And then Foolish came about. So Bill to Lemon. I'll just show him the most. I actually had the first routine was a bank night routine with Bill to Lemon as the kicker ending. It would fool anyone in the world if you didn't know what clone was. And I showed them that and was confident. Yeah, awesome. We'll just go sell a bunch of clone and people will love it. And that's that. And then they said no. And then I had to kind of go, okay, well, you know what? Maybe my creative input on this whole thing then, since I didn't develop the method, maybe my creative input will be a cool, different sort of plot line or different sort of methodology. So then I started thinking, what would be cool? What would be different? What would be something nobody would expect? Well, what if I was able to fool Penn and Teller with like the most basic magic tricks of all time? You know, like people going, but how did you fool him with nickels to dimes? You know what I mean? And then Mike Close, who's one of the people that helps out with the magicians on the show and helps with a lot of the creative direction, he suggested, what about a money roller? Mm-hmm. You know, what about changing a 1 into 100 using, he said something, but he had said something about a money roller. And that image, he said it would look beautiful with a camera shot down doing it. And I was like, that's the kicker that's it. That's the kicker, right? Like the whole plot and theme could be about money, which is how I started, and building. And then it became, well, what could the easiest tricks in the world? The money paddle, that's easy. That's a no-brainer. And then if I'm going from paper to pennies, well, what's the next step up is nickels. Okay, how do I change pennies into nickels? That's simple. The Buddha paper mystery. Mm-hmm. The Buddha paper mystery has been around for 100 years. It's still very fooling to a layman. If you show that effect to a layman, it's like, how the hell does that, what? That doesn't make sense. So then I had the nickels, and it was, well, nickels to dimes, obviously. And then from the dimes, I upped to, the bill. So the 4 phase. And now it's genuinely any gag shop in the country or in the world, it's pretty much has all of those. Some sort of money paddle, some sort of nickels to dimes, a money rolling machine, and a Buddha paper mystery. And then it started working itself out, and I was like, oh, this is going to play nice. Now the question is, clearly, none of those fooled us. It's how did you get the signature from the 1 to the 100? And then, you know, when you buy clone, you'll realize there's some stuff that has to go on in the behind closed doors that's happening in real time. And that's the beautiful thing, is that all happens in real time. So it worked out that now I wanted to be able to say I fooled Penn and Teller with tricks that they sell in their own magic kit, which is true because the Penn and Teller magic kit has a money machine. It's not the same, but it is a money rolling machine. So I wanted to be able to say I fooled Penn and Teller with tricks they sell in their own magic kit, and that you can find at just about any magic shop in America. They're the cheapest, easiest, most beginner tricks that you can find. And while that's a bit of wordplay, it is true as well. Those are the effects that I did. I did fool them. I just used a very innovative secret method on top of all that. So that was kind of the intention going in. Once I knew I wasn't going to bring one of my own routines, or I had which I still might do, I have a really cool chair test type routine. That's a new method that is really just neat. And I was going to do that, but that's not something that would have been a real marketable product for the company. It's for people who might use it in a stand-up show only, whereas clone, anybody who is into magic will find the use for this, multiple uses. So that's sort of the evolution of why it ended up being what it was.
So someone said, what was the routine that you performed? So obviously they asked you the question before because they haven't seen the show yet. Hopefully by now they have seen it. But I know you've said the name a couple of times, clone, but in its most basic form, what is clone? What's clone to people watching?
Clone is a real-time single performer actual signature duplication, which means the spectator is signing anything with a signature, a drawing, a icon, whatever, and you're in real time with a single performer identically duplicating that. So you're not looking at what they did and trying to do it on your own. It is a 100% actual clone carbon copy, not using carbon paper, but carbon copy of an Sharpie ink pen signature. That's what clone is. So think about it. Playing cards, billets, dollar bills, any paper product that they sign something on, you can duplicate that. That's what clone is in real time with a single performer.
Yeah. It's honestly crazy. I remember, do you remember David Blaine's Street Magic specials where he had a torn restored? No, it's torn restored with a signature. Do you remember that?
Okay. Yeah, I do.
And I remember when I first got into Magic, I'd replay those on Sky Plus. You'd like be able to record live TV like DVR, and I'd keep replaying it. Like, I do not understand. She signed it, and it was one of the only tricks for years that I never got until I realized, obviously the things that happen for TV.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been outside of the remit of any normal magician until now. And as soon as I heard about this, as soon as I know you called everyone on the team and you were like, oh my God, I have got the game changer. Like, just came in from JC Radade, super nice guy. You can do this. And we were all like, nah. And I'm like, how clean is it? And you were like, oh, it's clean. And then when you showed everyone, I was
from
like,
what I saw, right?
Yeah.
But then it was like, but I'm going to Magic Live because I don't know. I have to see it in person. Because anything could be done on a video, right? We've seen that a million times.
But it kind of put more plots onto the table for magicians, which was nice. It kind of made everything that was limited before. It kind of put a lot of that back on the shelf for like, okay, you can actually do this now, which I think is exciting. That hasn't been done in Magic in a long time. Some form of something, an addition to Magic that puts.
It's like the guy who invented roughing spray and figured that out, right? It was like, this isn't just a thing. This is now going to be whatever the buyer makes it in the future. Somebody invented an invisible deck with it. Someone else went mental photo. Some package, like, it's that good. It's that a year down the line, we're going to be going, look what this kid's doing with clone. Genius,
Crazy stuff. Someone did say, they said, it's Great Dane 13i said, I thought this year's season of Foolus was over. Has my TV not been updated? So I know it's a delicate situation. I wonder whether you wanted to talk about, what kind of happened with Vegas.
The first thing was there was no scheduled air date, and I forget what happened originally.
It was basically, unfortunately, there was a shooting in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but even before that, it was supposed to air before that, I think. And then that got changed. That original date got changed. And then, but I hadn't announced, it wasn't like, hey, it's airing. And then it was, okay, official. It is airing on this date. And we promoted and plugged. And then the day of, I woke up and I was like, yo, today's my big day. This is great. This is it. And had everything lined up. I even went so far as to a buddy of mine in Boston helping me get local Boston press to watch a live viewing party downtown Boston.
Yeah.
Thank God there was a big event happening in Boston that day. So we couldn't book any hotels or restaurants for it because it would have been me there looking at the screen like what happened.
Yeah.
But 2 hours before, the shooting happened earlier in the day. And then 2 hours before the airing, we got an email saying, look, out of consideration for the terrible events that happened, we're going to postpone it. Of course. Yeah. Absolutely. And then I got a just waiting game. I didn't know. And then got an update, which was, okay, new official air date is going to be October 30th. And I was like, oh, dope. Perfect. Good to go. Bam, bam, bam. Start my little marketing campaign, call you. Let's get this going. And then I think I even waited. I was like, I'm going to wait a day to announce anything just in case.
Yeah.
Who knows? I waited a day, announced it. The following day, I got an email from the producers. Sorry, there was a typo, November 30th.
Yeah.
So it was like, this is killing. It's killing me. So, As of right now, a few hours before the air date, it is supposed to air tonight.
That's why, do you know what? That's why I've not said anything like, I thought, we'll spoil everything because even if it doesn't air again tonight, we can save this for a couple months down the line. But that's kind of like it's a weird emotional roller coaster for you. It's
Big time.
you've got all that excitement building, then you go on the show, then you fool them. It's like, I imagine it's kind of like, I've never had a baby, but imagine you've got a baby. You're not allowed to tell anyone that you and your wife are expecting.
Yeah,
It's that excitement,
exactly.
like, oh my God, you've got the biggest secret possible. I fooled
But
Penn and
even
Teller.
worse, because if you're having a baby and you haven't told anyone, no one knows that to say that, right?
Yeah.
But everyone knows I'm on the show.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, did you fool him or not? And they know I can't say yes or no, right? And I can't even really allude to it. So it's like, yeah, it's not terrible because either way, fool or not, that's great for my private shows. Every show I do, I make sure to say, tune in on this date. I'm on this national TV show. So it still works. But yeah, emotional roller coaster is a great way to put that. It has been very up and down as far as excitement, letdown, anxiousness, nervousness, jubilee, everything you can imagine.
From Fat Rabbit Magic on Instagram, they wanted to know, how did you deal with those nerves, that emotion on the day? Before you went on stage, did you have a process to, like, I know some people... like
Not a process, Prozac is what it was.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Heavily medicated on good drugs and alcohol. No, I mean, in all honesty, that's the question. How do you handle nerves, right? That's the number one. And the number one and really only way you can handle being nervous is to be prepared. Nervousness comes from being underprepared. And if you're overprepared, you're still going to get nervous, but it's such a controllable nerve where people talk about using those nerves to benefit your performance. That is very true. And people who are good at taking that nerve and that energy and filtering it out back to the audience, those are the best shows in the world. But you can't do that if your nerves come from lack of preparation. You can't, because if you're not prepared, you're preparing while you're on stage for the first time. So those are your organic, natural, honest nerves. But if you are 100% prepared, you know exactly what you're going to say, where you're going to move, where each item goes as you do it. You're still going to be nervous, but as soon as you get your first line out or your first step on stage, your nerves go away because your preparation takes over. So I prepared. I just made sure I knew what I was going to say. I knew where things were. I'd rehearsed the thing enough times that I knew everything that could go wrong. So I was very nervous walking out. And as soon as I had my opening line, they disappeared. And I tried to use those nerves to give me a little life and some glow as I was on stage. So it wasn't a nervous, shaky, timid. It's a nervous, boisterous, and very confident, like, I'm fucking here. But that's what I mean. Like, I think being prepared and lack of being prepared is the number one reason that true nerves that affect your performance play a role. If you're prepared and you're nervous, good. People will love that. They will eat that up because your preparation takes over, and that nervousness is relatable. It's an emotional hook where the audience goes, I get it. Yeah, there's emotion behind that. If you're nervous because you're unprepared, you just look like a stumbling, fumbling fool,
Yeah. As famous Spice Girl Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice, said, fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
Oh, yeah. I think it was probably somebody more intelligent than her. But
I don't think so. I'm going to attribute that to her, the genius.
Sure. You know what? It was either her or Trump. It was one or the other.
Yes.
Okay.
You believe what you want to believe.
Yeah.
Like Mahatma Gandhi said,
For happy hour every Wednesday. I think that was Mahatma. Right?
Mahatma Gandhi. Famous Florence Nightingale said, let's party on. Party. Someone asked, how did you make your logo? I noticed that you're wearing it on your head now as a hat. It just reminded me of it. And this was Milo.writer. I'm assuming he's a salesman. No, I'm joking. He's probably a writer. Milo on Instagram. Like, how did you make that logo?
So for logos, it's funny because do you know Brendan Wolf, right? We've worked with him, Bison Band, and great coin magician.
He is a genius.
he's very good at what he does, for
To
sure. And
anyone
I'm actually
listening, you can go check out Wolf on illusionist.com. Search the word Wolf,
Yep.
and you'll find his coin magic set. And his John Bourne balanced palm routine called the Grey Vanish is literally insane.
he's an animal. But he's helping me redesign a logo because right now I'm branching into keynote speeches on creativity and things of the such. So I don't want it to just be an ace of spades or something. I don't mind that it's an ace of spades, but I wanted it to play around with ideas. So here's a few behind the scenes of logo development. So how do I develop a logo? I like this. I find talented people that are friends of mine and I hire them for their services. I don't draw. I'm not an artist. So that's how I get most of all of my graphics or visuals done. You know, I luckily get to work for the company who leads the game in that.
Yeah,
but,
go on. You show. I'm just going to put my Mac on.
So here's
charge.
number one. Hard to see there. There we go. So there's number one, Adam Wilber, and then on the side there, hard to see, but it says inventor, keynote speaker, and magician. There's number two.
Cool.
Same thing. Here's number three.
That's
and then
stunning.
this is one I drew on my own on the iPad, and he just made look cool. And then I like this because it's a geometric sort of creativity type thing. And then we just branched it off into that.
Go back to that third one again. By the way, people can leave comments below on this video as to which one they like the best.
Yeah, so let's do this. We'll call this number one. Actually, sorry, that's not number one. I didn't like the font on that. So that's number one.
Yep.
Okay. Little negative space jobby there. That will be number two.
The totem pole, yeah.
Number two, number three, and then number four, and then one more, which is an iteration of number two right there. So that's number two, that one, and with the one with the green. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. But that's what that's what I'm doing right now is I actually just got a message from him and said, again, I'm not a designer, right? I'll create magic till the cows come home, but I'm not aesthetically, I don't have that eye, just like I'm not going to pick a guitar up and make you suffer through that. But I'm very lucky and I know some very talented people. So he designs these, I gave him my ideas, and then I just sat back and went, your honest opinion, what do you think? And he went, I like them, they're neat, but I think your Ace of Spades design is probably still cooler. So, hey, you're a graphic designer for a living. That's where your eye lies. So why don't you take that design, incorporate what I'm trying to do with what you've done, and let's mash that together and see what happens. Maybe thinner lines. You know, this is great and it looks cool, but it doesn't say anything about that I do creative consulting, keynote speaking. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't even say my name. So if it says Adam Wilber Creative, that tells a lot with those three words. You know, and then the tagline of inventor, magician, keynote speaker. So if I can incorporate that into that, awesome. But like most anything, it's collaborating with people who are talented in the avenues that you're looking for and treating them fairly. You know, don't just ask people to do things for free or for favors, but barter with them. Maybe I have something you need, or, you know, treat people the way that they're deserve to be treated, and you'll get amazing graphic designers. I just wrote the book. I've got people like yourself or, you know, other friends that I can go, hey, how the hell am I supposed to sell this? Like, it's a good book. I'm happy with it. I don't know how to market. So I think it's just being surrounding yourself with talented people and collaborating with them. That's how this original logo was designed.
Adam's pro tip of the day: be friends with at least one person in every profession,
and
steal like an artist. Yeah.
Take people's ideas and you know, make them your own. That is creativity, taking ideas and putting your self into them. So these are all, you know, Wolf's ideas, but he's the professional at that. If I tried to make a design of a logo, it would look terrible. So that's how I designed it. You
just showed steal like an artist, and it kind of folds into Orm2208's question, which is, what is your favorite book related to magic or anything else?
My favorite all-time book is called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's just a great book. It's a short story.
What's it about?
It's a seagull, seagull that didn't want to go with what society said they were supposed to do. Sort of.
What does
It's a really
society
cool book.
expect from a seagull? Or is
To
it a
fly.
metaphor?
Yeah, to fly. It's the first real book that I remember reading that had more that I knew had more depth than, oh, it's a seagull named Jonathan flying around.
Yeah.
Like, it was the first time I read a book and went, oh, I think they mean something else.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really neat. I thought there was something really cool about being in my head telling the story. I don't know. That was the first book that I was like, oh my God, this is neat. And then I went from that to The Hobbit. And then it was like, oh my, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my all-time favorite book. And then I would say my current all-time
What about
all-time
magic
favorite
book?
all-time favorite magic book. That's a really good question. I would probably just go with it's a set, but The Art of Astonishment. You know, I don't know if there's much better as far as the kind of magic I like than Paul.
I agree. Nicholas says, what is your favorite trick? You can't choose one of your own. You've got to choose something else. Cypher.
Immaculate Connection by Paul Harris, hands down.
Do you know what? I saw that for the first time when you did it in New York. And you kind of like, we were at a trade show.
Yep.
And you were like, check this out. And I was like, yep. And at the end of it, I was like, oh my God, what? And you were like, dude, that's old as time. That's as old as time. And I'm like, I've literally never seen that trick before in my life.
I'd been into magic for 20 years when I first saw it. And I was the same reaction. Like, I had the book. It's in Art of Astonishment. And I read all 3 books. And a table magician, Marco the magician, came up and did it. And I'm with, you know, a friend. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to fool me. I'm a magician. And he did that. And I was flabbergasted. It's a 3-phase routine. And I only do the first phase. He did all 3 phases immaculately. And I had zero. I didn't even have the beginning of an idea of how it was possible. And I had to pretend as if I knew what it was to save face. I didn't have to. I did because I was an idiot and egotistical. But in my head, I went, oh my God, those are some gaff trick cards I've never seen. Split and glue back together because he let me keep them. That's incredible. And then I asked him and started talking to him, and he was like, oh, it's called Immaculate Connection by Paul Harris. It's in the Art of Astonishment. And I was like, what? Went home, read it. It's like a 90-page trick, 70-page trick, something crazy. And just remember eating it up when I was reading it and learning the method and being fooled so bad that day. And then, I loved it. And then the reactions it gets. And I have a really cool ending for it. Gaff card ending where they go, oh, put the centers back in. Because every 50%, at least 50%, they'll, you know, you've got your centers torn out, you've got the cards there, and you just wait. And someone goes, put the centers back in. And now you're set to do it as they've requested. So it's my all-time favorite.
That's like Danny D'Ortiz always says that if you tear a card, you don't need to pretend to put it back together. You need to ask the spectator what they'd like to see.
Exactly.
And every
Franzo
single
has
time,
a great touch on that. Exact same thing.
Every
or
time
if you allude a little bit to them and go, what do you want me to do? Tear it, rip it, burn it?
Yeah.
Well, tear and burn and rip are all the same thing. If you rip a card and burn it, it's all the same. So I love that. I love that sort of, oh, you're hungry? What do you want? Hamburger, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's great. That's by hands down, by far, for a close-up trick, my all-time favorite close-up trick.
Kieran Johnson carries glue on him, right? And this is it's such a weird thing, but I've seen it happen. I'm like, oh my God, that's genius. He does all of his set, and then on the off chance, the 1 in 50 people that says, but can you put this back together? Can you fix this? He just produces a stick of glue, a Pritt stick like this.
It's great.
So people are like, it's always answering. And I remember once for me, I loaded a dupe in someone's pocket, and then I walked around the table, and I got to the other side, and I went to force a card. And as I did this, I'm like, I'm a magician, blah, 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 take out a card. The guy was like, I bet you can't make it appear in my pocket. And he shouted it because he was like standing up at the other side of the table. And I was like, thank you.
Whoever's got a camera, pull it out right now.
I was like, hey, what? You want me to do what now? I'm not that good. And like played it off. But yeah, always being prepared.
Well, I do it with Ambitious Card. Kennedy's card box goes on the table at the very start. This is a box of mystery. We get to the end if it all goes well. And then I'm towards the end of the routine and I make their card vanish and I go, but where would be the most impossible magical place ever for it to end up? And you know what most people say? The middle.
What?
I don't know. I have
That's
no
weird.
clue why. At least half the time they'll be like, I don't know, in the middle again.
That's
And
good
it's like,
misdirection. You could say count down to 26.
or
And then you do your Mercury card fold, done.
yeah, yeah, and be like, no, that would be easy. But the other half of the time they will. They'll be like, either in my purse or a lot of times it'll be just that in the box, and then you have the beautiful line of going, well, look, I don't do miracles, I do tricks. I mean, something realistic. Where could it be? And then I palm it to my pocket, show it one more time, vanish, fold it, and now it is where they've said it. That's just good magic, right? Let them. Well, there's no way you could do that, so do it. And you're already set to do it. I mean, dude, to be honest, that's what clone allows 100 times over. You can set them up to be like, oh, well, what would be really good is if the signed bill was in the envelope I've been holding the whole time.
Yeah.
And you just,
That's my favorite bit of the trailer, when the guy says, he's got his hand, and you see it, and he lifts his hand up, and then he opens it, and his card's in there. And he's like blown away. He's like, I saw you do a routine, a 3-card. My hand was on my wallet the entire time. You did a routine with my signed card, a 3-card routine. My card vanishes, and it's in the wallet that's under my hand the entire time.
And then he like looks at the camera. He's like, but my hand was on the wallet the whole time.
Yeah.
And you can see his brain being like, wait. And he's a magician in a magic shop. Oh, yeah. It's just, Juan's routine is so good with that. The structure and the way he does his 3-card Monty routine, because the routine itself is very fooling. There's a lot of appearances and things that are going on, and it's like, wow. And it's so logical that, you're betting your money. That's why my hand's on your wallet. Like, when I saw him perform that, I was just like, kudos, man.
You can see everyone in the shop go nuts in Tannen's, Thanks to Tannen's Magic Shop, by the way, for letting us film there. But, like, they're, like, proper into it, which is crazy. But talking about that, Jack of Spades on Instagram asks, what miracle would you like to see, much like Clone, to confirm that magic is real instead of just sleight of hand or trickery? Like, if you were a spectator, what would you see that would immediately satisfy you? Okay, magic's a real thing.
Okay. This is a dream effect. Would I be able to come up to you and say, I want you to think in your mind right now of one of the happiest memories that you hold near and dear to your heart. I want you to envision that memory. Think of it. Be there. Live that. Remember it. It's the time that you were the most happy. Good? Mm-hmm. Now watch. And I would hold my hands out like this, and a hologram of that memory would be playing in my hands. And then I would go like that. It would disappear, and I'd walk away.
Yeah.
There you go.
Available on illusionist.com next week.
My email is Adam@Illusionist. If you have a method for that, please let me know. But like real magic, something like that. Something that the point of it is to give the spectator a moment of the best feeling they can ever have. Or predictive, something of that nature, something as impossible of that. But as far as a trick, like what trick would I really like to see have happen? I really like the superhero stuff. I really like things like being able to genuinely turn water into ice, being able to move objects, being very, very fast. So real superhero kind of stuff, things that we'd see. I mean, imagine instead of Wolverine, if you showed your hands completely empty and you were able to somehow and cards started shooting out or something, like genuine things that people would be like, all right, I'm calling the news agency. I just saw something I can't explain. That kind of stuff.
Which, it's probably where, like you said, you spoke before about where pyro came from, wanting to shoot fire from your bare hands.
Yeah. And dude, if you see someone do that and you don't know, you could call the police on him and be like, there's a guy with nothing and fireballs are coming out of him. That's superhero status.
Yeah, defos. Someone just asked this. King's Magic says, what's the first step to becoming part of Team E? And I'm going to say, producing a hologram in your hands. We will hire you tomorrow.
You can have my job if you show me that. And not just a hologram in your hands. Yes, that would be cool. I'm already working on that. I'm talking about a hologram of an emotion that is not written down, not spoken, is just a pure thought in somebody's mind. then call me. Don't call me with, you bought one of those hologram projectors at Best Buy. And like, I'm talking about the real deal.
Everyone's memory is just Darth Vader. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's actually a common question because Philip Bader asks as well. I know this is probably a common question, but
Easiest
how
answer,
would you start
same way
making
you
it?
did.
Yeah.
Get noticed. Figure out a way to get noticed. Whether that's befriending, and I'm not saying try and be a fake friend to somebody on the staff because we're not stupid. We're all very smart and we get it. But
We're not all of us are very smart.
Touche. Very,
Some,
very true.
some.
But get noticed. Figure out something to get noticed, whether that's an incredible effect and we buy it and then you just help better it left and right, or, and any other way that you would get a job that you really want. You get noticed. You work so hard in the speaking industry. There's a great saying. Basically, how do you get the big bureaus to want to book you and have you be under their umbrella? And the guy said, as soon as I start losing work to you, as soon as my clients come, no, thanks, we've already booked Adam Wilber instead. When you make me notice you, that's when I'll hire you. When you make your worth so valuable that us as a company would be better off with you than you just being better off because you're part of this company, that's how you get hired, right?
Yeah, Tim Ferriss says the same thing, which is a lot of people are like, how did you do this? How do you do that? And he says, the person, and Gary Vee and all those guys, Ryan Holiday, they all say, the person who I give jobs to is someone who comes to me to add value to my company or my life, and not someone who comes to me because they want it for themselves. Someone
Exactly.
who can genuinely, with their own skills or their own ambition, say, without anything in return, I can seriously help you do this. And they're the people that are more likely to get hired. And I can count, and you can as well, I'm sure, how many fake friends and inbox questions you get where it's like, hey, and then you're like,
I could pretty much guarantee after this airs and Clone is available, my inbox and email and Facebook will be lit up with friends. And I love everybody. Thank you for reaching out. But if you're reaching out to me is something in lines of this, yo, Clone looks so good. Is it really that good? Do you have any? Oh man, I'd love to get one. Look, the web link is very viewable. Go to Illusionist. It'll be on our home banner. If you're hinting to me to give you a free item, don't. I much more respect somebody reaching out going, any chance I can get one of those from free from you? Look, I'll still tell you no, but thank you for being honest. Let's not beat around the bush and do a whole bunch of BS.
Yeah.
That's just so turn-offy. Like, if you're going to ask for something, ask for it. Man up and, yo, you have any of these for free? It looks dope. No, I don't. They're expensive, and I have the one that I use in my shows. Cool, no harm, no foul. That's a friend of mine. That's what a friend would say. You know what I mean?
So someone said to me before, they were like, hey, got any of those free decibels left?
But at least thank you for being...
Yeah.
And
I said, sure, man, you can definitely have one for free if you pay my rent like Illusionist does. Do you know what I mean?
But you can say that to him in that friendly manner instead of wasting 4 or 5 messages back and forth to get like...
The worst is a message where it's like, hey, and then nothing. You go, hey, and they're like, hey, man, well done on Penn and Teller. And then you go, thanks, man, I really appreciate that. Super flattering. Thanks for tuning in. I genuinely mean that. Thanks for the support. And they go, cool. Was going to ask you, any jobs going at E? And you're like, okay, you only messaged me to get something from me.
And I get it. I will just say, I'm 35, 36 years old. It took me a long time to realize nobody cares about you. That sounds so harsh. Nobody gives a crap about you. The only person that cares more about you than you is your dog, if you have one. That's the only thing in this world that cares and loves you more than you love yourself. So when you reach out to somebody for whatever, have them be a mentor, to have them be your friend, for a date, for you want to get your effect out with the Illusionist, whenever you're reaching out to get something, you have to realize that if you're not reaching out first to add value to their lives, they don't give a shit about you. They're not going to listen, and they're going to see right through whatever little game you're trying to play to get your end goal. So the people who come directly, hey, I need you to help me market this book. Look, I'm not going to ask you to do it for free, but I think if you help me market it and it does really well, I can put your face on the cover and it'll get you a ton of work. I think it can be a win-win situation. Awesome. That's a lot different than, how you doing today, dude? Yeah, you busy at work? Well, man, I'm just trying to figure out how to market this book, and, I don't really know what to do. And what are you doing this weekend? You want to grab a beer? That, like, I don't know what it is, why it feels so, maybe it's the position that I'm in, that I just feel like that's a lot of what I get, is that sort of beating around the bush stuff. And I don't think that'll get you very far in business. I think it's the wrong, but I don't know why I got sidetracked there, but
there's no sidetrack. I agree. I think, the question was, how do you get a job in magic? How do you turn it into this? How do you become a part of the team? And the real answer is, be genuine. Don't be slimy. Don't go for an angle. Just, be sincere. Try and add value to someone's life. Try and add value to a company in the magic industry. And if that's genuinely your goal, then it'll happen. It'll work. And if your goal is self-serving,
and said, here's your website. Here's all the errors. Here's a dummy version we've built. Go ahead and play around on it. I think you'll see why it's better. That's a lot of work. Hey, we may be like, sorry, dude, we don't want, thanks for the work, but no. But that initiative to start that way, as opposed to, hey, I'm really talented and really good, and I can be a good part of the team. Like, prove that, prove it.
Yeah.
And even when you got hired on, you wrote a whole thing, and it was like hey, he did all this work for this company before being hired on, just to say, this is the value I can add to the company. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Here's the value I can add to this company. Now, some people will take a chance, and you can just know them and go, I know you're a good guy. I'm going to give you a chance. But the easiest way would be to show something inherently that can be passed around that is of value. Somebody comes to us and goes, I have 30 effects. I create at least 100 a year. Here's 30 of them. Pass it around your internals. I'd be willing to give all of this for you and my 100 a year just to be part of the team. But this is here's an idea that you can share with your team, and I think you'll understand I would add value to this team. That kind of stuff, that's how you get a job at a company, especially a magic company.
I mean, Dwayne just got hired, didn't he? And Dwayne did this, right? Dwayne is not the best videographer, but Dwayne is the videographer who had the most drive. He went out and he storyboarded and made fake magic trailers to get noticed. Everyone else just sent in their show reel, and they were showing us a Red Bull van driving up a hill, or a guy in slow motion with, bubbles. I'm like, okay, that's cool cinematography, but Dwayne actually went out and he applied it to our business. He did the extra mile.
And while doing that, was smart enough to go, what value can I add immediately to this company? Well, maybe I'm not the best, videographer, but here's 2 effects that I'm getting ready to release as well.
Yeah.
And one of them, wait till you guys see this. I can't even put into words. You have to see it. I just spent a week with him here at my house. I saw it in person. I saw him do it 3 times live to people. That's how you get a job at a company, right? I can look at that and go, that's going to sell very, very well. Oh, and that's really cool that you went out and used your fiance to make fake magic trailer. Yeah, exactly. That's how you get, you work hard and you show the value that you're going to bring. And most people just go, it would be really fun to work with Illusionist. It would be such value to my life. How do I do it?
Yeah.
Ask a different question. How do I show Illusionist the value I can bring to the company? And the first way to answer that is go, what value can I bring to the company? Same with a relationship. What can I add to this chick's life? Seriously, most guys just go, hey, I want to, I'll take her out to dinner and maybe I'll get lucky. Like, that's you, and what value can she add to your life? The one, what is it really to be interested in a woman and to be a charismatic human is to ask about them, to be interested in who they are and what their life is, right? That's the value you're adding. So Yeah, we went on a little tangent, but I think it's very
I think
funny.
it's a good life lessons, man. Like I remember someone told me once before, the secret to charisma is to be interested instead of interesting.
Exactly.
And I think
100%.
that's like if you ask questions, I ask questions to everyone, and I'm interested in everyone. And someone says to me like, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm like, "I work for a magic company." They're like, "Oh my god, that's the best thing I've ever heard." I'm like, "What do you do?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing as cool as you." I'm like, "No, seriously, what do you do?" And they're like, "I'm this." And I'm like, "How did you get into that?" "Oh, well, actually, I did this, and I was a paratrooper for this many years, and then I was a policeman, and then I did this, and I'm like, "Whoa, what happened there?" And you did this. Before you know it, that person feels so engaged and so welcome and so happy. You've just made a new friend, and it's
Yep,
surprising how quick you can dig down and how interesting people are. So yeah, being interested in everyone is the best way, I think. So
I
anyway,
agree.
life lessons. But let's do a quick fire round. Are you going to the session convention? That's from
Yes.
Sven Wen Goethe. You are.
Yes. If I get a sample in time for a big project we're filming, I'm going to the session convention and we're doing a big Illusionist shoot right after. So keep an eye on our socials because we'll be leaning out to people in the London area that will bring themselves and maybe a layman or two along. So yes, that is my intention.
I will also be there. Lloyd Barnes will also be there, and Dwayne Williams will also be there.
And Daniel Madison, we're dragging him there.
And Will Jones, who is co-creator of Cypher and creepy web genius. So,
You added the creepy, not me. We'll just make
I
that
added
clear.
that. Yeah, he's fine. You're only truly great friends with someone where you can make fun of them. Timothy Ho says, "Are you going to do any lectures?"
I've done a few. I don't love them, but if the opportunity arises, anybody in Italy or Spain or cool places that would want to set a lecture up with me, I would love to do that. But
Anywhere hotter than New Hampshire. you
that's
know?
right.
Yeah.
In the middle of December or early December. Yeah, exactly.
Charlie Does Magic says, "How can I memorize new moniker?" I
I am
believe
not
you
the
buy
person
the
to ask.
book New Moniker, and there's a New Moniker app.
Yep. There you
Uh,
go.
let's see. Joseph13 says, "What do you think about magicians like Julius Dean?"
Nothing but respect for the kid. He's killing it, doing his thing. Is he exposed? Whatever. I don't care. If that upsets you, then that upsets you. But he's making his living doing magic and following his dreams. I have nothing but respect for him. And he's
Enchanted
a very
underscore.
nice guy too.
Oh, he's super nice. Enchanted Yam says, "Cardistry?"
All right, right on, brother. Do I like it? Yeah, absolutely, love it.
Timothy Loves Magic says, "What's your favorite card tricks by Garrett Thomas, Chris Ramsey, or Daryl, RIP?"
What is my? I guess out of the three, what is my favorite card trick? My favorite trick out of those performers is Garrett Thomas's. I don't even know if he wants people knowing about it, so I won't say it. But it has to do with the driver's.
Is it the
Yeah.
one where I ran into you at Blackpool and I grabbed
Yes.
you and I said,
Yes.
"You have to see this. It's the best magic
100%.
trick." Yeah.
It might be. You asked what my favorite magic trick was, and I said Immaculate Connection.
Yeah.
That's my favorite trick that I can perform. My favorite all-time magic trick I've ever experienced is that trick. So
Phenomenal. If you've ever met Garrett Thomas, don't say that either Adam or myself told you about this trick.
he won't show you anyway.
He
So
won't
yeah,
show you, yeah.
I mean, it is real magic. It's unbelievable.
But if you ever see
anything by Garrett Thomas, to be completely honest, I believe Garrett Thomas is, if not the one of the best living magicians alive. Anything you see from Garrett is perfect magic in my mind. So I guess that answers that question.
Johnny Sabino 70 says, "Adam, how can you be so awesome? You are amazing. Really, you are the best."
I love that you're reading the questions. That is very, very kind of you to say. I appreciate you saying that, but you don't. All you see of me is what you see on my social media. In reality, I am a prick. I am mean to children and animals.
Yeah.
I litter all the time.
This is true for anyone out there. He never says please in a restaurant.
Oh my God. It's so bad. Wow. That's a terrible inside joke. I'm actually very, very polite. So no. I thank you for saying I'm awesome. That's very kind of you.
Kabir Hansbull says, "What do you think of the current state of Magic?" Actually, let's skip that one. I think that's a good one to end on. Let's go for favorite deck of cards, and I know there's two behind you that you might want to mention.
They are my favorite. Obviously, they're mine. But if it was a deck that I didn't have something to do with, then I would say my favorite is probably I really, really like the Royal Reserves, the Black edition. So those, I really like the Sultan Republics. So many decks, but my go-to all-time favorite are the Keepers.
Sweet. Okay, so besides Jay-Z, the magician says, besides Penn and Teller Fool Us, what other show do you personally want to be on?
The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Anyone watching, I've been a fan of Ellen's since I lived in New Orleans. I took a class that the teacher claimed Ellen was in, a comedy and theater class, and watched her from the Ellen Show, the original, through everything. So that's the one show that I really want to be on. I have a few things planned already. So that's it. The Ellen DeGeneres Show.
Yeah, let's all start campaigning. Adam for Ellen.
I've done it for 3 years and it's just not, I don't know. I even sent one of the main producers like a full, because they want a story, right? They want something that is more relatable than, oh, cool, you made a fireball shooter. And I'm doing a charity to help starving people. And I'm trying it, not for the Ellen Show because many reasons, but I sent this long email with everything and even alluded to Penn and Teller Fool Us, and I've never been ignored so many times in my life. Yeah. But, it is what it is.
She's just not into you, That's the thing.
I guess that's okay. One of these days.
No, I think we covered a lot of ground there. Thank you so much for being, available to answer these questions, because I know that this kind of means a lot to people.
Thanks for doing this, G.
I think the last one we'll end on is that Kabir Hansbull's, which is, what do you think about the current state of Magic?
Yeah, I mean, state of Magic is a broad thing, but I guess as a whole, I think it's amazing. I think it's what it's always been. The one thing that's consistent in my life, whether it's good times, bad times, young, old, sick, healthy, Magic's there. Whether it's a book to keep me occupied or performing to get people smiling, it's a personal thing for me. Magic is mine. My magic and what magic is to me is what it will always be. It's magic. It's that thing. The current state, as far as what it looks like on TV and with the internet and all that, it is what it is. It's everything across the board. You've got Quentin Tarantino talking about Netflix and how much he despises Netflix. It's the same argument we're having. I think good magicians that love magic for the right reasons will always make magic great. And those are who I try and surround myself with. So all the hate of he's exposing and I don't care because I'm not surrounded by those people. It doesn't affect me. It genuinely means nothing to my life. So I love the state of magic. I always have, and I don't care what happens. I'm always going to, because it's mine and I get to decide how I feel about it. So.
Sweet, and we'll finish on a positive. If you've not seen your performance on Penn and Teller Fool Us yet, they can Google it. Or where can they find it? I'm guessing your social media. You want to give that a little plug?
Yeah, go to my YouTube channel. What I'm really trying to do is get a bigger YouTube channel, because it seems a lot of the people, I won't say that. They're just going to set up a bad joke. My YouTube channel, and I will tell you right now what that is. Or my Instagram is Adam W Magic, and I don't do a lot on there as far as this, but I'll keep posting more videos. So the YouTube is, I guess, just type in Adam Wilber Magic, and you'll see it there. And my intention is to have this be my hub for cool magic videos. So my Magic Castle act is up there. So that's where, and then Facebook and all that other stuff. That's where you can find me.
Sweet. And anyone who wants to get a clone, obviously they can find it from illusionist.com. Get to the Adam Wilber.
I will say on that note, I know people go, oh no, a signature duplicate. We've seen this a million times. The people who buy it and get it will get it. So this is one of those once in a decade, once in 2 decades type of effect. So if you are buying it and using it, keep this secret. Let's have this be another invisible deck. You should be a magician and you should respect the art to be able to do this trick. If you've bought it, you know how powerful it is, keep it to yourself. Let's keep this secret going and see what comes of this. This thing is my favorite magic trick I have seen at my time at Illusionist, hands down. So if you haven't, go to the product page, watch the trailer, watch the Foolish performance, and in your mind, just think, what could I actually do if I was able to really duplicate a signature? And whatever you come up with, Clone will allow you to do that. So I don't say this lightly. This is my favorite magic trick I've seen at my time at Illusionist.
And there we go. That's a great way to end the performance. If you've watched this entire video, do you want to give someone a secret word to comment below, just so we know that that person is amazing and that they've lasted? What?
Nobska. Nobska.
Spell it?
Nobska. Nobska.
Nobska. If you write that in the comments below, we know that you're awesome. We know that you've reached the entire end of the video. That's an hour in. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We're going to be doing more of these soon. If you want to see someone else on an AMA who's, not Adam Wilber, because why would you want to see him twice? Doesn't say please. Always remember to say please to your waitresses. Always remember to your waitresses. We'll be here all week. Okay, bye.